It is the People Station V103. Ramona Debreaux here with, wow, how do I start this? Do I say producer first, actor, director? Which title?
Hungry.
Hungry. Bill Duke is in the studio. How are you?
I'm blessed. Got up this morning and working here in hot Atlanta,
Yeah.
and enjoying it. Working on the great TV show Black Lightning.
You know, I love Black Lightning. I love
Scott.
superheroes anyway, but Black Lightning, now I know you can't tell me what your role is because you haven't quite been introduced yet on the series, right?
That's right. But it's great working with the folks there. I just think it's a great show, futuristic, but it has a great relevance to today also.
Yeah, they really do tackle a lot of the social issues on Black Lightning.
Edutainment.
Yeah.
Entertaining, at the same time it's educational.
Well, I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing on Black Lightning because it really is one of my favorite shows. My husband and I, we'll do a couple episodes. If we miss an episode, we're like, all right, let's binge. Sometimes I think we miss a couple of episodes just so that we can binge watch a couple of them at the same time. So, wow.
Great writing, great acting, directing, and it's just really a great show. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. But how many movies have you? You don't keep track. You should have saw the look on your face. How many movies have you directed or produced? That's a big number too, isn't it?
To be honest with you, it goes back a ways. From Deep Cover to...
Still one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, Deep Cover, Hoodlum, Sister Act 2. It's a lot of different ones, in the past, and still directing. I'm acting now too, so it's trying to just stay in the game, which is changing so quickly. We're just talking about
Yes, we were.
How quickly it's changing, and keeping up with it.
Let's talk about how it's changing. We were talking about the immediate, the urgency now, or the availability to just pick up your iPhone and record a movie. Tell me about that experience you had when someone was shooting on iPhones.
Well, earlier this year I was in a feature film acting with great director Steven Soderbergh. Second film we worked on, I did Align Me with him many years ago. Great person, great director. And I was like sitting there in shock because he shot the entire feature film with, I think it's 4 iPhone 8s or 8 Pluses. There was no major lighting crew. Most of it was available light. And when they did dolly shots, there was no dolly track or dolly. They wheeled them around in the wheelchair with sticks. So it was, and we'd come in at like 7 in the morning and leave by 6, sometimes 5:30, because that's how fast he moved. And then at night, he would go home and edit the footage that he shot that day. So if you look at that from just a pragmatic filmmaking point of view, to the average young filmmaker, if they take the time to understand the craft of writing, the basic craft of directing, once they learn those skills, there's nothing stopping them. Instead of waiting to be discovered, they can discover themselves with an iPhone.
Like, for instance, which shots, or if there's a close-up, you're trying to convey a certain feeling or an emotion. Sometimes you're trying to convey mystery. So there's a shot that you'll get, whether you're using an iPhone or one of those, like I call it Velociraptor camera 3000K whatevers. I guess the art form is still the same. The skills are still the same.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to tell great stories. And for young people who are interested in the art of storytelling, Joseph Campbell, who is one of the greatest minds that ever lived in terms of writing, Hero with 1,000 Faces. It tells the story of what is a hero and how do they get so, because every story has a protagonist, which is the guy we root for, and an antagonist who is against the good, and how to tell those stories is important.
I know that you probably cannot pick a favorite. Was there an experience that you had that stuck out, that stood out more than other experiences with particular films or TV shows?
Wow, there's several. I was in, I think it's the '80s or early '90s. I was in a TV show called Palmerstown, USA, and Norman Lear and Alex Haley co-executive produced it. And I had the great fortune, because people don't know, Alex Haley was the founder and maker of Roots.
Yes.
And first to meet him was like, I wanted to bow, but to talk to him and to understand why he made Roots and what he did and his humility was overwhelming. And that was a great, great experience for me. Working with Lawrence Fishburne on Deep Cover and Hoodlum.
Still one of the
Thank you.
most amazing films. I mean, especially with, I don't know what's the genre when it's a cop genre. It's what do you call that?
Drama.
Is it action?
Action drama, you can call
Action
it.
drama.
Yeah,
Okay.
action drama, you can call it. Yeah, and based on a true story also. But Jeff Goldblum, Tim Roth, in Hoodlum, Cicely Tyson in Hoodlum.
Oh, Cicely Tyson.
Clarence Williams III.
You know, it's so funny. I used to say this is just off with Deep Cover. It's because I love the movie. It's one of the first DVDs I think my parents bought, like in the house, because that's when DVDs were like, becoming popular. It said Larry Fishburne, not Lawrence. Do you call him Larry? Do you call him Larry?
I call him Fish.
You call him Fish?
Yes. He's really good people, really humble, really good people.
Okay. Yeah. So, I know that you're in town, you're acting. So many movies are being shot here in Atlanta, so many television shows, series. Do you plan on partaking in the production boom here in Atlanta? Is anything that you have coming out that we can look forward to?
Well, as I said, I'm acting right now. I got a reoccurring role in Black Lightning, but we're trying to get production, back in L.A., and also we want to do things here. I have several projects that I'm working on, producing and developing, getting development dollars for.
I wonder how you choose your projects. And really quick, with so much production and directorial experience, I know that, when you're acting, you must bring a wealth of knowledge to a production. Like a Black Lightning, I mean, they're already awesome, but that definitely speaks for itself when you're on set somewhere. Yeah.
Well, when you're working with great people too, like Oz Scott and the people that are on that show, very humble, very professional, it brings out the best in you, and it's all about collaboration. I mean, I teach acting courses, and sometimes, and Gina and I, Barboza, my mentress. We're going to put together a workshop here in a few months, but to really give young people an understanding of, one, how the business has changed. We're not in the film and TV business only anymore. We're in the media business, and the franchise business, and the branding business. So if you can take one IP, intellectual piece of property, and not only make a movie out of it, because Disney is the example everybody should try to follow. They'll take a comic book, and it has one main character and two sub-characters, and in a year, each one of those characters will have their own brand, and then you make the movie, you have the comic book, and you have the game, and you have the cell phone app.
Yes, you will.
And then the top
360 all day.
Exactly, and then to top it off, they'll create a ride at Disneyland.
I was thinking.
You know what I'm saying?
I can't wait for for Black Panther, a ride.
Right.
Boy, you better stop. I'll be lined up because you know how
Me
fast
too.
he moves and he scales.
That's right.
That would be cool.
But the whole idea of branding.
Yes.
I think our young people should understand franchise and branding. If they have an idea that relates to people, like Issa Rae. I mean, she did it herself. She was tired of waiting, and now HBO came after her.
There is nothing stopping someone. Where there's a will, there's a way. Yes. There is nothing stopping you from making your first production. And I totally get this. I've been into, not into, but this has been a part of my life. I even met my husband at a film festival because I was trying to get more information about how to do this. And I couldn't understand, well, why can't I just turn on the camera and start shooting? Well, you have to do a lot, Ramona. You have to sit down, you have to put the budget together, and then you have to do this and you have to do that. And that would go on for months. And I'm like, but I have the actress and actor right there. I got a camera right here. I even have a light kit. Can't I just turn the camera on? I never understood that. And I don't know, do you agree that the Tyler Perrys of the world, and I want to bring this up because it seems as though there's an old guard and there's a new guard. There's an old way and a new way. And it seems like the old way was get a script, try and get someone to give you money to shoot it, and then hope that someone picks it up, or maybe the person who picked it up will shoot it with a budget. And now it seems as though you could just pick up your iPhone or it's a decent camera and put something together and kind of dictate and get distribution with a Netflix or somewhere else like that. When Tyler Perry had his cameras turned on, he said, well, instead of doing it for $1 million an episode, if I have the cameras on and the lights going already and the techs and the gaffers and everybody else, why don't I just do a whole season in a week? And now they criticized it at first, but now you see all these networks following the same pattern. Change the game.
Well, Tyler Perry in many ways was a pioneer. And he created a path that many people are following. And I celebrate that. The major thing, however, with the technology is you're not seeing a great deal of great storytelling. I mean, whether it's an action or horror film, whatever it is, I can only see so many cars flying at me and so many explosions and fights and wrestling and tumbling and the rest of it, which is all visually interesting. But here's the question: do I care about anybody who's being killed or shot, or is there anybody I can relate to? And today, I guess it's not cared about as much, but I think there are people who care about great stories.
And character development and arcs and
character
all of
arcs,
those things that make you
story arcs.
Take you for a ride.
Those are disciplines. Those are disciplines that we have to master.
Okay.
And I still push for that.
Yeah. I know that a friend of ours, she does script writing. She does courses, and she'll go over your script and make sure that it has some depth to it, and that it's interesting. A lot of times it's just like you said, but you're so right. The art of storytelling. Wow. Would that make you turn down a script?
Yes.
That's been offered. Okay.
Well, your name's going on. I mean,
yeah, true.
And not just forever. You'll be known by that thing that you created. And I made some mistakes in the past and tried to buy them back and couldn't get them.
Could you try to buy them back? That's so funny.
I'm not going to name any of them.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't want you to say them. But I had to pay for my milk and bread, so you know what I'm saying. So
right.
But overall, I learned a lot from that, and it's important. I mean, we have to be pragmatic, and we have to pay our bills. Yes.
Okay.
But once you get in a certain position where your bills are kind of taken care of, then you have to begin to think about what is your legacy. What do you want to leave? What do you want to say? And I think that's important.
Well, I appreciate you sitting with us. I've learned so much just sitting here with you. And you're right. It's the art of storytelling, and we definitely have to get back to it. I'm thinking of so many things now. So I could keep you here for 2 more hours if I could.
Well, there's 2 things. Two things?
Sure.
My book is coming out. I have an autobiography. It's just Bill Duke and his 40 years behind and in front of the camera. You can pre-order it on Amazon. 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 And just want to make sure you know that.
Well, give me my phone. I'm pre-ordering it.
Thank you.
Let's do it.
And so it comes out in November. And I think people will find it interesting because it's about my career, but also my life in terms of and what you go through as a person, but particularly a black person in this industry.
Okay. From
the early days when I was one of the first black directors on many shows, and what that experience was and what it is today. And the second thing, do you like jokes?
Yeah, of course.
Can I tell you one?
Yeah, sure.
A little black boy is baking a cake with his mother, and he gets white flour over his entire body. And he looks at his mother and he says, look, mommy, I'm a little white boy. Boom, hits him on his butt. Said, go tell your father what you just said. So what did I do? Go tell your father what you just said. Goes into his father's room and he says, look, daddy. He says, what, son? I'm a little white boy. Boom, hits him on his butt. What did I do? Go tell your grandmother you just said. Goes in his grandmother's room and says, Grandma, yes, son? well, say it. I'm a little white boy. Boom, hits him on his butt. Go to your mother. Goes back to his mother. She says to her son, what lesson you just learned? What lesson did you just learn? The little boy says, what I learned was, I only been white for 5 minutes and I hate you black people already.
It's so silly.
I'm sorry.
Oh my
I apologize.
gosh.
I apologize.
Oh.
I know it's a little sick.
Oh,
I know it's sick,
it is.
but it's okay. But it's real.
But it's real. That's hilarious. Oh, man.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think about, I made this film, Dark Girls and Light Girls, both of them a couple years ago. What do you think about the battle online between hashtag Team Light Skin and hashtag Team Dark Skin? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't, but I did see the documentary.
But,
Brilliant, by the way.
thank you. But they have almost 300 members in each group talking about the.
You know, it's
skin
interesting because
well, irony, know what the irony is?
What's the irony?
Well, they're talking about dark is beautiful and light is beautiful. White females are going to tanning salons 2 days a week, getting Botox lips, butt lifts, lips lifted, and darkening their skins look more ethnic.
And ironically, as well, there's not one person who is not African American or of a person of color who is going to look at even the light-skinned girl and say, oh, look, you're more white. You're more white. You're not black. They're going to look at you and say, oh, you're a black girl. So really, when you look at the whole thing, if they had to group you together, it's not like you would get a pass and you get in a different boat. You would still be an African American, whether you were light-skinned or dark-skinned. And, it's funny because I'm orange. I'm orange. So I have my mom's a little lighter. My dad is brown. And so it's been interesting because my older sister is very, 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 very light skinned. And then my brother is very, 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 very brown. So I have heard the gamut. Some people say, oh, you're not as cute as your sister because your sister's light skinned. I grew up with that.
They said that to you?
Oh, yeah. Growing up with that. Yeah, absolutely. Or you would hear, like, I had a brown, my brown skinned friend, real pretty. Oh, she's so beautiful. She would say, you know what? I think that more guys are going to talk to you because you're light skinned and I have a pretty face. I said, well, I don't have a pretty face. What the hell you mean? What does that mean? Mm-hmm. But you hear it from both sides. And then guys will say, you're the darkest girl I've ever dated. I have never. When I bring you home,
said that to you.
The guy said it to me. You're the darkest girl I ever brought home, and their mother would reflect it too. Like, oh, she's a black girl, like dark skin. Like you done brought a dark skinned girl up in this house. So it's interesting to be right in the middle because I hear both sides.
One of the most painful scenes in Dark Girls, the movie, and this young lady came on, and in the movie, still in the film. And she said that one day, and she's kind of brown-skinned, and her mother picked her up from school, and her mother's best friend's in the front seat with her driving, and the daughter's in the back seat. And the mother says, look at my daughter. Beautiful lips, beautiful nose, beautiful eyes. Can you imagine how much more beautiful she would be if she had any lightness to her skin? Now, the thing that's painful about that, she didn't say that with any prejudice or any intent to hurt her daughter.
No, it was how.
That's her.
That was the norm.
In her soul belief.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you know that in the late 40s, 50s, and early 60s, in certain churches in this country, black churches, Do you know that there was a brown paper bag?
Yes,
put
I
on
was
the
going to
door?
say, you talking about the brown paper bag test.
If you put your hand on that bag and it wasn't as light as the bag, you couldn't go into church.
Oh, even the church. I heard it was the club too, but it was definitely
Clubs in church.
Well, we have to revisit that. And man, like I said, we could talk for a long time. But
Got off
Bill
the track.
Duke,
I'm sorry.
we have more to talk about after this, but we're gonna put that link for your book.
Yes.
Pre-order on
Amazon.
Amazon. And we are gonna look forward to everything that you're gonna be shooting here in the ATL. We're a little proud here. You got to come to the ATL and do it. And I just want to thank you for joining.
No, God bless you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Gosh, I wish I had more time. Thank you, everybody. B103.